It was a curious sight, a cat seemingly hugging a puppy. Nathalie stopped in her tracks as soon as she spotted the two in total awe of how cute they looked. But when she kept seeing the two with each other, the cat, what seemed like consoling the puppy, she began to grow worried. She didn't know why, but a gnawing feeling lingered about the puppy's well-being. When she decided to act, she instantly regretted not doing it sooner. "Oh God! Oh God, I hope I'm not too late," Nathalie said as she rushed through the city holding the puppy in her arms. The cat ran after her, meowing loudly and scratching at Nathalie's feet every time it came close enough. "I know, I'm sorry," she said to the cat. All it wanted was to stay with the pup, but Nathalie had to separate them in order to save it. The pup was breathing heavily, and Nathalie did her best not to make too many sudden movements. However, maneuvering through the busy streets while everyone else walked as slowly as humanly possible was turning out to be very difficult. "Coming through! Coming through!" she yelled. But not everyone stepped aside, causing her to bump into people and shake the pup a little. Time was ticking, but Nathalie was almost there. "Hold on, little guy," she said as she looked around her. The cat was nowhere to be seen, probably caught up behind some people, but that wasn't her concern at the moment. The pup's time was running out. But why was the cat hugging the pup? Why did the pup have to be saved? The first time Nathalie saw the cat hugging the puppy, she had stopped to admire it. Seeing the cat and puppy so close together gave her a positive feeling, but that feeling slowly began to fade over the next couple of days. She began to take that route more often so she could see how the puppy and cat were doing. It wasn't a much longer walk to work, so why not, she thought. But when she passed the cat and pup each day, she realized the cat never looked like it was truly relaxed around the pup. It looked rather concerned. One Sunday morning, she decided to see how close she could get to the cat and pup. She had never been closer than the other side of the street, and she wondered what was going on with the two of them. As she arrived at the spot where she always saw them, she realized that no one else showed the same interest in the duo. Maybe they hadn't noticed the two, or maybe they had tried to come close and failed. Nathalie slowly began to step closer to the duo and instantly saw the cat's tail thicken. Its eyes were locked on Nathalie as she stepped closer and closer. "Hi, sweetie. I'm just here to give you some love," she said with a kind tone. Suddenly, the cat began to growl protectively and stepped in front of the puppy, who slumped to the ground. Nathalie's eyes widened as she saw the puppy lying on the ground, clearly sick and unable to move on its own. She knew she had to do something, but she feared the cat would hurt her if she simply reached her hand out to the pup. She needed a distraction. Seeing the cat and pup clearly lived on the street, Nathalie decided to run into the grocery store to get some canned tuna. She had to leave the pup for a bit, which was nerve-wracking, so she did her best to make it quick. When she returned, the cat was licking the puppy's head caringly. Nathalie approached with caution again and placed the canned tuna on the ground. The cat was a bit hesitant at first, but as soon as it got a whiff of the fishy smell, it couldn't resist. It began to eat like it hadn't eaten in days, and Nathalie quickly picked up the puppy and began to run. However, the cat clearly cared more about the puppy than food, as it instantly sprinted after Nathalie. The cat lashed out at Nathalie's leg while meowing like a lunatic. Nathalie had to jump to avoid getting hurt and sprinted even faster. She held the puppy in her arms, but it felt very limp. The pup breathed heavily and was covered in ticks, all clear signs that it needed immediate attention. But there was one minor issue. It was a Sunday, so all the veterinarian clinics were closed. Nathalie was already running, and she couldn't stop now, or else the cat would attack her. Suddenly, she realized there was an animal control center somewhere close to the city center. That was her only option. Nathalie stepped it up a notch, and slowly, the cat began to fall behind. Nathalie prayed under her breath that someone would be at the animal control center, and her effort wouldn't be in vain. The city buzzed around her, oblivious to the drama unfolding. She gripped the puppy tighter, feeling its shallow breaths against her chest, and dashed past neon signs and Sunday strollers, her heart pounding with hope and urgency. Maneuvering through the crowd, Nathalie grew frustrated with the slow pace of the pedestrians. "Move, please," she pleaded, darting and weaving between groups of tourists and locals enjoying their leisurely day. Every second felt like an eternity, each slow step a barrier to the puppy's survival as she pushed forward with growing desperation. Nathalie's breath was ragged as she apologized while bumping into a distracted shopper. Suddenly, a sharp meow pierced the air, sounding like a cry of pain. Nathalie's heart skipped, but she couldn't look back. She could only imagine the cat trying to follow, its loyalty to the puppy unyielding even in this chaotic escape. Nathalie felt helpless, blowing gently toward the puppy's nose, hoping it might ease its breathing. She knew it was a long shot, but anything that might help felt worth trying. The puppy's fur was damp with sweat, or maybe tears. Nathalie couldn't tell. She just knew she had to keep moving, to keep trying, no matter how small the gesture. With no clear idea where the animal control center was, Nathalie ran on gut instinct. Her mind was a whirlwind of worry and streetscapes as she darted down alleys and across intersections. "It has to be here somewhere," she muttered, more to the puppy than to herself, hoping her sense of direction would not fail them now. As Nathalie hustled through the streets, the puppy in her arms suddenly began to whine softly. Startled, she slowed her pace slightly, shifting the puppy to look into its pleading eyes. The sound was faint, heart-wrenching, urging her to be even more careful with every hurried step she took through the bustling city. Moments later, Nathalie felt an unexpected warmth spreading across her stomach. Her face flushed with the sudden realization the puppy had peed on her. Despite the discomfort, she couldn't help but let out a short laugh amidst the chaos. This messy little accident only deepened her resolve to get the pup the help it needed, and fast. Distracted by the warmth and her soaked shirt, Nathalie failed to see a pole protruding from the ground. Her foot caught on it, and she stumbled forward with a sharp gasp. The shock of the sudden fall sent a jolt through her body as she desperately tried to protect the puppy from the impact. Luck was on their side, at least for the puppy. As Nathalie fell, she managed to twist her body, cushioning the pup, which landed safely on a patch of grass. However, Nathalie wasn't as fortunate. She hit the pavement hard, the rough texture scraping against her skin as she tried to absorb the brunt of the fall. Nathalie lay there for a moment, feeling the sharp sting of pain shooting through her scraped elbows and knees. She winced, trying to push herself up despite the discomfort. She knew she couldn't stay down. She needed to get up, to keep going. Her resolve hardened, fueled by the urgency of her mission and the puppy's soft whines. As Nathalie tried to rise, people crowded around her, offering hands and words of concern. Their well-meaning forms huddled too close, blocking her view of the puppy completely. Nathalie's heart raced as she pushed through the sea of legs, trying to spot the small, fragile creature she had so desperately been trying to save. "Move! Move!" Nathalie yelled, panic edging her voice as she scrambled to her feet. Her eyes darted around, searching frantically for the puppy, but it was too late. The small bundle of fur had disappeared into the crowd. Nathalie's chest tightened with dread. The puppy couldn't have gone far, yet it was nowhere in sight. Nathalie spun around, her eyes sweeping over the area, hoping to catch a glimpse of the puppy. People passed by, oblivious to the urgency of her search. She moved to where she last saw the pup, her mind racing with possibilities, but finding nothing. She couldn't see it anywhere, and the bustling street seemed to swallow up her hopes. With no sign of the puppy and not knowing what else to do, Nathalie pulled out her phone and dialed animal control. Her voice shook as she explained the situation, begging them to come quickly. She knew that every second mattered and clung to the hope that they could help find the missing puppy before it was too late. While waiting anxiously for animal control to arrive, some passers-by noticed Nathalie's distressed state and approached her. "Are you okay? What's wrong?" they asked, their faces etched with concern. Nathalie briefly explained her plight, the lost puppy, and her fall, which only deepened the worry on their faces as they glanced around, joining the search. Nathalie quickly explained the situation to a man named Bob, who had approached her with concern. Bob nodded, understanding the urgency, and immediately offered to help. Together, they began a meticulous search around the area, Nathalie pointing out where she had last seen the puppy, her voice filled with hope as Bob listened intently and prepared to search. Bob and Nathalie scoured the vicinity. They peeked behind bushy trees, under parked cars, and rustled through the underbrush. They called for the puppy with soft, coaxing tones, trying not to startle it further, their eyes scanning every possible hiding spot in the bustling urban parkland. Their persistent search paid off when Bob spotted a slight trembling movement under a nearby car. It was the puppy, cowering in the dark space, its small body quivering with fear. Nathalie's heart leapt with both relief and worry as she slowly approached, whispering soothing words, hoping to calm the frightened animal. Nathalie reached out slowly, her hands trembling as she tried to coax the puppy out. But as her fingers neared, the puppy let out a sharp squeal of fear, recoiling further into the shadow of the car. Nathalie froze, her breath caught in her throat, terrified of causing any more stress to the already frightened pup. Just as Nathalie was calculating her next move, the cat, panting and clearly exhausted, appeared out of nowhere. It darted in front of the puppy, standing guard with a fierce determination. Nathalie stepped back, her resolve waning as the cat fixed her with a stern look, its body language clearly protective of its canine friend. Nathalie realized that with the cat back and fiercely protective, getting the pup from under the car herself was no longer an option. She paced nervously, watching the cat who stood guard like a sentinel over its canine companion. All she could do now was wait for animal control to arrive, hoping they could handle the situation with the sensitivity it required. Relief washed over Nathalie as a white van emblazoned with animal control pulled up. 2 officers stepped out, equipped and ready. Nathalie rushed towards them, her anxiety slightly eased by their prompt arrival. She pointed towards the car under which the pup was hiding, her voice urgent as she explained the critical nature of the situation. Nathalie quickly approached the officers, explaining the urgency as they listened attentively. "The puppy is very scared, and there's a cat that's extremely protective," she said, gesturing towards the car. The officers nodded, understanding the delicate situation they needed to handle. The officers retrieved tools from their van, a long stick with a loop and a net. Nathalie's heart sank as she watched. The tools looked more threatening than reassuring, especially for a scared, small animal like the pup. She bit her lip, pondering how to intervene without escalating the situation. Seeing the potential for the tools to frighten the puppy further, Nathalie stepped forward. "Maybe we could try a less intimidating approach," she suggested cautiously. Her eyes flicked to the van, then back to the puppy under the car, her mind racing with alternative, gentler methods to safely retrieve the frightened animal. The animal control officers listened to Nathalie's suggestion and agreed that luring the cat and puppy out with food was a safer first step. They nodded at Nathalie's idea to use something less threatening than the loop and net. "Let's try your way first," one officer said, hopeful but cautious about the success of this humane approach. The decision made, they prepared for a gentler attempt. "If this doesn't work quickly, we'll have to consider other options," the officers cautioned. Nathalie understood the urgency and the stakes. They all wanted the pup safe, but time was a luxury they might not afford if the puppy's condition worsened. Nathalie dashed to the nearest store, her mind focused. She grabbed cans of tuna, salmon, and puppy food, paying at the counter with trembling hands. Back at the scene, she carefully placed a line of food from under the car toward the curb, hoping the scent would entice the frightened animals out into the open. Nathalie and the animal control officers waited, their eyes fixed on the dark space beneath the car. Minutes ticked by slowly. The officers exchanged looks, their patience thinning as the initial optimism began to wane. They started discussing the feasibility of switching to their tools if the animals didn't respond soon. Just as the officers were about to revert to their original, more intrusive plan, the puppy stirred. It peeked out from under the car, nose twitching as the enticing aroma of the food reached it. Nathalie held her breath, hoping the little one would brave the few steps towards safety. Slowly, the puppy ventured towards the curb, lured by the trail of food. The cat, clever and cautious, watched but didn't follow, sensing the human's plan. Nathalie watched breathlessly as the pup, emboldened by hunger, edged away from the protective cat and towards the safety of the open. As the puppy finished the last bits of food, Nathalie gently scooped it up. It trembled slightly in her arms, exhausted but finally safe. She carefully placed it in the back of the animal control van, tucking it in with a soft blanket, ensuring it was comfortable for the ride to the hospital. Nathalie's heart ached to stay with the puppy, to follow it to the hospital, but the animal control officers explained she couldn't come. Reluctantly, she gave them her phone number. "Please call me with any updates," she implored, eyes glistening with tears as the van doors closed. The van drove away, taking the puppy to get the care it needed. Nathalie stood in the quiet street with Bob and the cat still hiding under the car. The sudden emptiness was palpable. Bob checked his watch, murmured a goodbye, and left Nathalie alone with the wary cat. As Bob walked away, Nathalie couldn't shake the feeling of concern for the cat, now without its companion. She sat down on the curb, a respectful distance from the car, waiting. She knew the cat might need time, but she hoped it would come out too, attracted by the remaining food. Nathalie waited patiently on the curb, her eyes never leaving the spot under the car. Eventually, the cat cautiously emerged, drawn by the smell of salmon and tuna. It hesitated at first, then began to eat, its guard slowly lowering as it filled its stomach. Nathalie remained seated, watching the cat eat. She kept still, not wanting to spook it with any sudden movements. The quiet moment on the curb felt almost peaceful, a stark contrast to the earlier chaos as she observed the wary animal gradually relax. Once the meal was finished, the cat's demeanor shifted noticeably. It began to purr loudly, a sound that filled the silent street. To Nathalie's surprise, the cat approached and rubbed against her leg, seeking attention. She held her breath, amazed at the trust it was beginning to show. Encouraged by the cat's affectionate behavior, Nathalie slowly extended her hand. The cat didn't shy away. Instead, it pressed into her touch, purring even louder. With each gentle stroke, the cat seemed to forgive her earlier attempts to capture it, its eyes slowly closing in contentment. Feeling a bond forming, Nathalie decided to take the cat home. She coaxed it with soft words and gestures, leading it back to her place. As they walked, she wondered how it would react to her own cat. At home, she carefully introduced them, hopeful for a peaceful coexistence. The two cats surprised Nathalie with their calm demeanor. The street cat and her own cat seemed indifferent to each other's presence, both lounging in the living room without a care. It was a relief to see them so relaxed together, making Nathalie feel hopeful about their future interactions. As evening fell, Nathalie prepared a small bed for the street cat just outside her door. She placed a soft blanket and a water bowl beside it, ensuring the cat felt welcome yet not obliged to come inside. She watched from the window as the cat curled up, seemingly content in its new makeshift shelter. The next morning, Nathalie received an important call from animal control. The puppy was stable, but still very sick. It had accidentally eaten poison found on the street. Relief mixed with worry flooded through her, thankful it was alive, but concerned about its lingering condition. During the call, Animal Control explained that the puppy needed a temporary home willing to administer its necessary medication. They stressed the importance of careful, consistent care for its recovery. Nathalie felt a surge of determination. She knew she had the capacity and the heart to help. Without hesitation, Nathalie volunteered to foster the puppy. The woman on the phone, relieved, agreed to bring the puppy to her later that day. Nathalie felt a mix of excitement and responsibility as she prepared mentally for the task of nursing the puppy back to health. Nathalie spent the morning buzzing through pet stores, picking up puppy food, squeaky toys, and a cozy bed. Back at home, she set everything up in the guest bedroom, transforming it into a welcoming haven for the soon-to-arrive pup. She double-checked every detail, ensuring everything was perfect for its new beginning. When the puppy, now named Warrior, arrived, the street cat, Angel, was right by its side. As soon as Nathalie opened the door, Angel confidently walked into her home as if it had always belonged there. It seemed the cat had decided its place was with Warrior, and now, by extension, with Nathalie too. Seeing the undeniable bond between Warrior and Angel, Nathalie knew she couldn't separate them. She decided to foster both animals. It felt right, naming the puppy Warrior for his strength and the cat Angel for her protective nature. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one filled with unexpected companionship. Over the following weeks, Warrior slowly recovered under Nathalie's diligent care. Meanwhile, her own cat Cinnamon became increasingly curious about the new residents. She would often sit outside the guest bedroom door, sniffing under it and making soft chirping noises, intrigued by the unfamiliar scents and sounds. When Warrior was fully recovered, Nathalie introduced him, Angel and Cinnamon to each other. Initial hesitations gave way to playful encounters and shared naps. Months later, they had grown into one big, happy family, each member with their own quirks, but all united in their comfort and affection for each other.